3, 2, 1. Hey!
We're back. Mike, what have you been working on?
I've been in New York for a little while. I went on a good museum and gallery tour while I was down there.
What museums?
Guggenheim and then the MoMA.
Guggenheim's sick.
Yeah, because this was the first time I ever stayed in Times
It's a
Square.
big spiral.
Yes, and it's right in that area. Me and you have been to New York a few times together, and ironically, I've done the least touristy New York trips every time I've gone. Been to some good museums like the Chelsea and all that while we're there, but most of the time we're there for some kind of work reason.
Yeah.
So this was my first time seeing Times Square, and I went in the middle of the night too, which was wild. There's so many screens, your body's convinced it's daytime.
Yeah. But what did you think of the Guggenheim?
I thought it was great. The way that it's separated kind of by level, and each one has a theme almost.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Kind of want to like good museum for a hoverboard.
Why?
Because you can just go gradually around and around and around.
Yo, that's actually pretty cool.
I really like it because it's like one of those buildings where you look at the exterior and you're like, oh, that's an interesting shape.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually isn't just like, oh, we want to make a cool shape. It actually reflects how the circulation inside the museum works.
Yeah, there's a good flow to it. But anyways, it was an awesome trip. Now I'm back working on the bathroom renovation I've been doing. Walls are done, walls are painted. Now I'm back to terrazzo mode. So I'm building the vanity and the countertop for that space.
So you got the mix all picked out. Any adjustments, or are you going with basically the one you like the most from the first three?
Game plan is really similar. Same concrete mix, same green marble tile, except now I'm going to be adding in a little bit of white sand. So I can get a little bit of that crisp white in the sand. I'll probably mix it 50-50, like quick-reach sand then 50% white sand. It's Playbox sand.
Did you buy it online or?
I did, yeah. I found it on Amazon. It was the best deal you could get. Nothing local.
And I guess you don't need that much of it. So what, you just got like 50 pounds?
Yeah, they sell 25 or 50-pound bags. I don't remember, but it was a 2-pack. When I thought about it, I was like, oh, wow, math here is a pretty good deal, surprisingly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been loading up that giant blob. Finally finished it.
Yeah.
It's so hard to finish things. And then like the last 2 days have just been trying to figure out how to get it into the truck and working through the logistics with the client, because they keep saying, oh, you're gonna have to come through this freight elevator. I'm like, okay, well, I need dimensions on the freight elevator because we have to have this upright, or can this be laying on its side? Super stressful. I know. So it's like 350 to 400 pounds. There's no easy way to grab it. So we'll have 5 people there to help me move it. But it's going to be an all-day thing, and
it's going to downtown LA.
Downtown LA.
And this is a gallery piece. We talked about it an episode or two ago. It's that big free-formed wood beam assembled piece, and you got it stained black. It looks awesome.
The shout out to Rubio. So I've used the Rubio, just like the Oil Plus 2C before, right? It's like their standard high quality wood finish. It's like an oil plus a little bit of like an epoxy additive to give it real hardness.
Cool.
You mix them up. Looks great. But with fir, Douglas fir in particular, even when you use the black oil stain, the lignin looks a little bit orange still. So it looks a little tigery, like I did for my big Brutalist desk. They sent me some pre-color stain, which is water-based. So you apply this black ink, and that stains both wood glue, wood putty, and the lignin all black, but you still see the grain. It's pretty incredible.
And so that solved the end grain, like cracks issue you were thinking of. Because it made the wood putty completely match the rest of the sculpture.
And then I used the black oil on top of it, which gives a little more depth of the surface and stuff like that. So
I thought it looked awesome. And then the way that you sanded it, because the wood grain is pretty big and swoopy, you got texture out of it too in the places that sanded easier and then the places that, you know, the grain was harder.
So we're delivering it tomorrow. Big day. Hopefully it all goes through. Got to bring a little bit of oil for touch up because just moving something big, it gets a little scuffed up. Got a bunch of creepers. It's a big oblong that looks like a meteorite or a whale with no tail.
Yeah.
There might be a chance, depending on which route we have to go inside the building, where we have to turn it on its end.
And it's about 7 feet tall?
6'6".
Okay, wow.
So I had to like make a creeper today that almost creates like a nest. So we have to like put the tip in, pause, and then like tilt it up and then roll it like a vertical statue.
Yeah.
That's going to be sketchy if we have to do it. So hopefully everything's big enough. I think really if we have to use the freight elevator, that's going to be the pinch point.
Mm-hmm.
But
when does it go on display, and where can people see it?
I don't know if I can announce it yet, but it's a new museum in downtown LA that's opening June 20th. So you can probably figure it out from there.
Okay, that's awesome.
They have me sign like an NDA. But
when you can talk about it, we'll talk about it here, and it'll be on Instagram too.
But we got an important topic today, one we've been kicking around for a while.
Yeah.
We are
tool experts.
No,
I'm joking.
Tools.
We are tools. Okay, great.
Power ranking power tools.
Mm-hmm.
Handheld edition.
Yes. Kind of tier list style even.
Right. So rather than do like a typical guide being like, oh, you should get these tools and these tools, we thought we would rank them into tiers. And we're going to each throw out a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to judge them across 3 different use cases. And we thought, we're not expert woodworkers and we're not general contractors. We're something in between where we do a little bit of construction, a little bit of woodworking, a little bit of furniture making.
A whole lot of DIY.
And a lot of DIY. So we're going to rank them across DIY, woodworking, and construction.
Yeah, and when we think of woodworking, we're not thinking of the guy that's kind of a little bit of a good woodworker. We're shooting for the guys that are Michael Alm, Four Eyes Furniture, Blacktail Studio, people that are really woodworking.
Yeah.
Because if it's in that DIY category, it'll more attain to us.
Right. So woodworking, furniture, stuff like that. And I think our perspective too is we work with a lot of different materials. So we thought for people that are interested in being generalists or like the projects that we do, here's how we think about the tools. And I'm going to kick it off with one that I low-key think is not a great one. That's the oscillating multi-tool.
It has its days. It has its days where it's clutch.
Okay, when was the last time you used one?
I used it recently in the bathroom renovation. I hate to be the guy that's like, I just used it.
Plunge cut like for a socket?
Yeah, so it was during a home renovation project. It certainly wasn't during any fine woodworking.
Right.
I was plunging in drywall, putting in a new electrical socket, and it was clutch because you can make such a nice cutout that you've got almost a 0 tolerance opening for your new electrical outlet box.
Right. I don't think I've ever used it in like a furniture or woodworking category.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely used it in DIY renovations for trimming little floorboards.
Yeah.
Or for like removing old adhesives on tile and scraping adhesive off like concrete or a subfloor.
Totally.
So I've used it in demo. I've definitely used it for the plunge cuts around like in drywall to do a little socket.
Mm-hmm.
I just find that it's fine. It's just not great. And I don't use it that often. So it's like, it takes up good thing, it's a small tool. So it's not like it takes up a lot of shop space.
Mm-hmm.
But would I make that one of my first purchases if I was getting started in DIYing? Probably not.
Not unless I planned on doing some renovating. If I was starting my journey with a bathroom renovation or a project around that sorts, like a kitchen project, that might actually be high on my list. But if I was thinking about building DIY furniture, projects like that, it would be pretty low. The only time woodworking that I can think it's useful is you can put a little detail sanding tip on it, and that helps you get into a corner. But at the same time, there's kind of a category of sanders, so that's letting this one play kind of like into another category. So I would rank it B tier.
Oh, it's a D for me.
It's a D tier.
Yeah.
Wow.
So because I don't think it's great at the woodworking or furniture thing,
mm-hmm.
but I would say if it's in a combo kit and you just bought your first home and you're expecting a lot of renovations, you'll probably get value out of it if you're going through a DIY renovation process.
The woodworking aspect killer of the multi-tool is the flush trim saw.
Yeah.
Because anytime I would want to use a multi-tool, if I'm really woodworking, I'm just going to take my time and do something that's going to give me cleaner results.
Right. And if I'm doing drywall, I just like one of those little, those like $8 drywall saws are totally fine.
Yeah. Okay. So on the tier ranking, I'll be okay putting it D. I would even be fine with C because we want to do like the cumulative score across the 3 categories.
Okay. Let's for now.
I'm down with D.
Let's put it between D and C, but okay. I'm leaning more towards D.
Depending on what we hear. And then how do we break down category-wise? Do we do like 1 out of 10 for woodworking?
No, I think we just use them as talking points.
Talking points. I like it.
Okay, throw one out there. What do you got?
Top of the list. Circular saws?
Circular saw is definitely an A or S tier for me.
It's got to be.
It's the fundamental building block tool.
Yeah.
It's the first time you can cut substantial material, maybe outside of a jigsaw. But for any plywood projects, phenomenal.
Amazing.
You can clamp down the straight edge. I think what would be really interesting is comparing it versus a track saw.
Yeah.
And I prefer the circular saw because I think there's so many things you can use as a straight edge. And track saw to me is so specialized for woodworking. So it's one of the first 3 tools I would always recommend people getting to get started. Definitely would go battery with this one.
Nowadays, yeah.
5-10 years ago, it was a little more iffy. But these days, I would say it's great. Blades have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Like it used to be, you'd go to Home Depot and the blades were pretty. They'd burn the wood.
Mm-hmm.
But Diablo's got a full suite of really nice blades for your cross cuts or rip cuts and finish cuts. You can do rip cuts with a circular saw. It's a little controversial, but if you don't have a table saw. But I think it's like the fundamental building block saw.
Right. And to piggyback off of the saw thing, I think that's where your circular saw becomes made for what task you're doing. If you're a contractor, just get a 24-tooth blade, get an 18-tooth blade, let it burn through 2x4s quick. But if you're into DIY woodworking or nicer woodworking, you can really get track saw equivalent results as long as you're getting that like 60-tooth fine finish blade, like from Diablo or Home Depot, or the equivalent from somewhere else.
And circular saw is where I say you get the 7 1/4. Don't get the 6 1/2 or the 5-inch one. The amount of money you're going to save is disproportionate to the utility you're going to lose.
Top 3 accessories for the circular saw. 12-inch speed square, because now you can cross-cut things square, and you can even cross-cut plywood up to like 24 inches.
Yep.
Because from one edge, you can line up your speed square, cut halfway across, and then finish your cut referencing the other edge. So that makes your circular saw reliable.
And second accessory, I agree that's the number 1 accessory. The number 2 is 2 little 99-cent squeezy clamps.
Yeah.
And just any trim board with a straight edge.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go a little bit wider, but that's still to this day, even though I have a pretty decent table saw, that's what I use. If I get plywood from the lumber yard or from Home Depot, drop it off in the driveway, put it on a couple 2x4s or a piece of foam, break it down into rough sizes before I start, doing the fine finished pieces.
Yep. And then the third accessory is kind of funny. I would say masking tape. When you're doing that perfect cut and you need to guarantee no chip out.
Protect that veneer.
Just put some painter's tape over your cut with a circular saw, even if it's a good blade, and then you've got a clean cut and you won't accidentally lose your sharp corner.
Now, circular saw is primarily meant for wood, but I have used it to cut stone even, where I put a masonry blade on it. Makes a lot of dust. The speeds are a little bit different for what you ideally would like. They even make blades now for like demolition work that can cut through nails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in general, I still think it's primarily a tool for cutting wood or maybe like some plastics and laminates and stuff like that.
So S tier?
S tier.
S tier. Boom.
First S tier. All right, my turn.
Because it's all 3 categories.
This is an interesting one. Jigsaw.
Ooh, I bet this might be controversial. Some people really like jigsaws. I'm kind of like, I only use it when I need to because I hate blade deflection.
Right. It's hard to get a really straight cut with the jigsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I grew up, the first time I learned woodworking was with like bandsaw and drill press and thickness planer and table saw.
Stationary tools.
Right. So
Okay.
when I've used a jigsaw after I'd used a bandsaw, I was like, this is like a really chaotic energy bandsaw. Now, I'm sure you can do these like curvy cuts and stuff like that. So what I like about a jigsaw is that it's probably one of the safer tools that you can still cut relatively substantial material with.
Yeah.
You can do tight cuts. You can cut metal with it, but it's awful. It's not a pleasant experience. It's fantastic if you're really all about like 3/4-inch pine and sheet goods and making little things. But then I even think like going up to like a scroll saw and getting something where you can do nice stuff makes a little more sense. Now, I use it for making curved molds for things, and I will do some finish work with it. So I like it. I would kind of put it in the kind of B.
I think
tier?
someone that's like a really good woodworker would think of it as low C category, but someone that's doing a ton of DIYs where you just need to cut a little corner out of a piece of plywood, or you just need to do a little swoopy cut, that
Right.
is the solution to so many problems. So that person might make it like a B tier or an A tier.
Now, where I see people doing really amazing stuff with it is people that have some upholstery skills, because
Oh,
then they
okay.
can get some MDF, cut some curvy shapes,
Totally.
and whatever imperfections there are in the cut, they can cover it up with all the foam and the Dacron and then the fabric. And they do really polished looking stuff. And you don't know if there's a little bit of like 1/8 inch jagginess in that kind of curved cut that they made in the sheet goods.
Totally. You just sold me kind of like a little higher on it. I'm going to say B tier.
Yeah.
B tier?
It's also beginner friendly.
Totally. Even before you get to a circular saw, if you're young and getting introduced to tools, it's a lot less scary.
100%. All right. What you got?
Next one, routers. I'm talking palm routers, plunge routers, anything that you're holding handheld, not stationary routers or CNC machines.
I've changed a lot on this. If you asked me 3 years ago, I probably would have said C tier, but I would go A tier now based on how much I use it. I used it so much for the hotel, and we're dealing with a really nice hard plywood.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was only doing like a little 1/8 of an inch round over on that, versus having to consistently get that all, because you can do an ease of the edge and just a slight round over, no problem with the orbital sander.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start processing a lot of material, the palm router is great. They also don't take up much room in the shop.
Yeah, that gives them a big upside.
Right. And you can just do some really cool stuff with it. And flush trim bits get you a lot more value out of your jigsaw.
Big time, it really does, because you can square up your cut afterwards.
Right. And if
Yeah.
you do something with a jigsaw, before I had a palm router into the rotation, and if I needed to make 2 curvy pieces for like a lounge chair or something, I would try to cut 1.5 inches of the jigsaw, and then the deflection's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
But now with the jigsaw, I might just cut a template and then use a flush trim bit to then route to that template and get all the pieces repeated.
Yeah. So those two in combination make a woodworker a lot more happy. I think that's cool. But a router you can do so many things with. You can route dados with it. You can make grooves. You can make profiles. You can use it to kind of carve as well. I mean, think of a router sled.
Yeah.
I think that's one upside, because
Router sled's a great point.
this same little trim router that you're talking about, all the tasks you're using with it, can also go into a bench top.
Yeah. I have
versatile.
flattened pretty big slabs with a tiny little palm router.
Me too.
And if it can replace a thickness planer, which is one of the more expensive tools, and the low-cost thickness planers, they're not super fun.
They need
They're
more
kind of
horsepower.
challenging. They're kind of underpowered, and you get it because you need it, but then limited by board width. A little palm router with a pretty fat bit,
Yeah,
if you go, it'll be time consuming, but you can flatten out a big slab.
totally. I'm going to rank it higher than I thought originally. Do we really need to talk about plunge routers? Do we need to talk about more of that? I think it all falls into the category of usefulness. Yeah.
I'm putting it at A.
I'll support it. We might need to hash that one out, but I'll support it.
You wouldn't get it before the circular saw,
No.
but I would get it after that.
Right. And then once you get a jigsaw and you pair it with that,
Yeah, A
then
minus.
A minus. I love that. Next, you're up.
Okay. This is an interesting one.
Ooh,
Impact driver. So not the drill,
yes.
the impact driver.
S tier.
Now,
It's got it.
the challenge here is that a lot of the time you get the drill and the impact driver together,
Boom.
right? So if you, as a kit, I would put it right up there. It's like one of the first things you get. But when I think about it, there's not a whole lot outside of construction or really heavy things where I couldn't do it with the drill. So if you're on a budget,
Yeah.
obviously I put drill ahead of impact driver.
It has to be. Yeah.
Now, if you're doing decking and you're driving in a ton of screws, it's fantastic. But for woodworking and stuff like that, it's often a little bit overpowered, and you can get a little bit of splitting sometimes because you're not really like easing off the trigger and like driving that finish screw perfectly flush. So I think for construction stuff,
Huge.
great.
Yeah.
For the DIY and home improvement,
I got to ask this before you
No,
put
shoot.
it in, though. How many screws did you use to strip before you got an impact driver? Because that little hammer motion keeps things from stripping. One thing that helps is using a star bit.
Yeah.
And that's huge. But unless you're just like leaning onto a drill, have you ever tried to like hang a picture in the wall and you go through like 3 screws before you finally get one to like grab and not strip out? And you're like, I hate Phillips bits. I just want my impact driver.
Yeah. But when I think about like an impact driver, put it this way, if you had a limited budget, would you get the impact driver ahead of the palm router?
Absolutely, I would.
I'll say I would go palm router.
No
and
way.
I would do everything with the drill.
We would need to do projects where you've got no impact driver before I'm convinced. Because I think you're underselling the impact driver. I think you would be using it, and where you're used to 2 boards just cinching together, you're just stripping a screw every time you try and do that.
It's super handy. But like also it's like, I guess I'm putting together less 2x lumber these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using, if I'm driving screws, it might be more into like furniture grade plywood.
Sure.
And I actually prefer the drill if I'm using furniture grade plywood because I want to get that screw head either recessed in the exact amount for putting over it,
Yeah.
or I want it to be perfectly flush.
Well, I'm going to be advocating ranking this one high. Anything under A tier seems like blasphemy.
I'm putting it B, but you can put it A.
All right, we'll put it in kind of the middle how we've done before. There might be something that pushes it over the edge. And if we're here, we should be talking about a drill. Then that's a true A tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drill is
A tier.
Now, drill I think is fantastic because you can even carve with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get into rotary tools and Dremel tools a little bit later. But before I had those, I would put a little carving bit on the drill. I would carve out little things. I would put sanding drums on them.
Yep, real handy.
There's so many things you can cut. You can drill through any material with a drill.
Yeah.
Concrete masonry a little bit hard unless you got the hammer drill, which to me, hammer drill is ahead of impact driver. But that's because I'm working with stone and masonry and all that
it's like
stuff.
the most heavy-duty impact driver.
Right.
Yeah.
But drill, I think, has to be A or S.
Yeah, it's got to be A or S tier. I'm happy with either.
And it's something like, and it's not, what I think is great about it, a circular saw makes sense if you're a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're renting in an apartment, it's not going to be used so much for like repairs around the house. But everyone from the time you're in college to that, like a drill is a pretty useful thing. Doesn't take up a lot of room. Very safe tool to use. So drill, I think, is A or S.
And it is the first tool to buy. Like you
Yeah.
finally graduate from a task where this screwdriver in my junk drawer just isn't going to cut it. I think I've got to buy a Ryobi drill.
And they've gotten more compact and better.
Well, yeah, everything's brushless now, right?
And it's also one that doesn't really like tap out your batteries too much. You can do a lot with it. And I've even seen people do kind of like very artistic projects where they just, make like sort of designs by just drilling a bunch of holes and patterns.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do with it.
And now on like Temu type sites, you can see all those drill attachments or angle grinder attachment that look like a serious safety hazard.
And most importantly, it allows you to do pocket holes.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can accessorize with the drill to actually do joinery of boards. And if it wasn't for pocket holes as an accessory to the drill, I would probably rate the drill a little bit lower. But the ability for you to both connect material, put holes through things, even do a little bit of light carving and sanding with it, I think that makes it one of the most versatile tools.
Yeah, it's unlocked to doing creative tasks, not just like, I have to do this to put a picture on my wall.
Yeah.
Totally.
So drill's really high up there. So wait, your turn or my turn?
I think I took drills. You do the next one.
Belt sander.
For the DIYer, that is an early purchase. And I think it's because, not because you planned it, but because you went to go put these boards together, but now they're like this, or you're working with some unstable lumber. You don't have the best picks, or maybe you're working with pallets. And so you're in the middle of a project. You might be using your random orbit sander and just saying, I'm going to Harbor Freight. I'm getting a, belt sander so I can just get through this quicker.
For a beginner, here's where I think like the belt sander makes sense. And I would go corded, like a 3x18-inch corded belt sander.
A lot of times when you're belt sanding, it's for hours at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I find useful about it, especially if you're not like a benchtop woodworking guy with big sort of stationary tools, it has that flat piece of steel under it. So where I've used it when in complement to my circular saw. So if I've had to do for that live edge vanity in my bathroom, I had a big 2-inch slab that had a 45-degree angle for the miter cuts. And the wood was really twisted and gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
So the circular saw kept jamming up because it was closing around it. I got to stuff a chisel or a metal ruler or something behind it to keep the wood open so it wasn't squeezing the blade. So my 45 miters were not perfect.
Yeah.
But I was able to run the belt sander on slow and use that flat steel plate to even out my miter cuts across a 2-inch thick slab.
Nice.
And my other option would be getting a massive router set up with a huge bit, and all would have been disaster. So I also used it a lot for my power carving stuff.
Big time. Yep.
Because you can really remove material really fast.
It's in between your carving disc and your random orbit. It starts getting a lot of those big scratches out of the way.
And again, just like the palm router, it's so much more valuable, I think, or more versatile than a thickness planer, and can do some of the same things for it.
Yeah, I think you would find yourself wanting a belt sander a little sooner than a thickness planer. I think most people purchase a belt sander on a project before they even thought they were going to use it.
Yeah.
It finds their way. A belt sander finds its way into people's shops quickly.
So would you get the belt sander before the jigsaw?
Ooh. No, because I'm getting the belt sander after I need to clean my jigsaw cut.
Gotcha. So I would put it in that B tier.
I would put it in the B tier. I think it's surprisingly handy. You can even flip it upside down and kind of clamp it to your workbench before you start getting your bench top sanders, even as a woodworker or a DIYer, and, clamp it down and be able to kind of hand sand some freeform shapes or some smaller projects.
Cool.
Really useful.
You're up.
Next one. Leaf blowers.
I like this. Okay. I have it pretty high up there.
Right.
So I think the thing to think about here, now this is specific to us being kind of in an outdoors working environment. We actually use it probably for like dust management.
Well, we don't have huge shops, but I think we're kind of standard with most people. They want to open up the garage doors. They want to let the light in unless it's just too cold not to.
Right.
Yeah. So
leaf blower is my primary form of dust collection, unfortunately. I blow off the CNC even with it. So I still would probably recommend to civilized people to get a shop vac before a leaf blower, but I use the leaf blower a lot more. But also I work on my patio and decks a lot.
Yeah, I think that one is up to whoever the person is. You could find yourself getting the shop vac first, or you could find yourself getting a leaf blower.
If you're in a city, you go shop vac.
Yeah.
If you're in the country, you go leaf blower.
And if you're trying to do a little bit more woodworking, I see how that's handy. But if you're just a DIY guy, you're like, I'll use it in the backyard.
Yeah.
I'll use it in my project. It'll just be real versatile to me, and they're not too expensive. A lot of times you can get a good deal springtime.
I like the little compact ones.
Mm-hmm.
The big long ones are more powerful, and if you're actually cleaning, fall leaves and stuff like that, they make a lot of sense.
But what do you think, 18 volt or 40 volt? Do you go?
I have both, but I use the 18 volt the most because it's just, I pick it up and it's
I like
short.
the powerful one. I like the one made for outdoors because I just feel like I'm just going through the dust.
But I would say I like having both that and the shop vac, to be honest.
Yeah, they're handy in different ways. Like if you're in a home renovation and you need to clean up a mess, being able to shop vac it rather than get the rest of the house dusty, that's huge. But if you're in a workshop and you want to blow the walls, you want to blow the ceiling and the floors, it's great.
Got it. Yeah.
So what do you rank it? A B plus? Like it's a good B tier.
They're not. How much is the little 18 volt leaf blowers?
I bet you get it for $50 or $60.
So given the price, I would say it's a pretty handy tool. I would put it up there, and it's also like anyone can use it. Your neighbors will borrow it. It's like, you know what it's actually good for? Blowing out your truck.
So it goes to the front of the line in B tier.
Yeah.
Like if there's anything else there, it gets to go in front of the line.
If it was over $100, I would put it C. But if it's around the $50 to $60 range, I would put it B.
Cool.
And I think price is a pretty important consideration for all these things too. But now that I think of it, like I'll open up all 4 doors of my truck and just blow it out.
Sure. Yeah. And after you're done sanding, just hit it with the leaf blower and then tap
Yeah,
cloth.
and it's just like Taco Bell hot sauce wrappers come flying out.
I'm sorry, environment. So next on the list, it's your turn.
Ooh. I'm going to go a little dicey here. rotary tool. So often called a Dremel tool, but Dremel is a brand and it's a mini rotary tool. I think this is a pretty interesting one. It's really popular amongst people that do like craft and detail work. I don't think we use them that much, but we have used them.
A few times, yeah.
And so on the DIY scale, I would give this really high marks because you can do a lot of intricate stuff. And one of the reasons why I don't like the multi-tool as much is because I think you can do a lot of the multi-tool stuff with the Dremel or rotary tool.
Even as a homeowner, I'm imagining doing a backsplash and you've got this one tile that's a little bit too big. You can come in with the Dremel grinding attachment and you just, pull that tile back so you can put your cover on or whatever you need to do. Whereas that's a little more scary to do with a multi-tool.
Right.
You got a little more finesse.
So it's one of the tools where you can do finesse stuff with it.
Totally.
It's still pretty powerful. If you have to cut like some 1/4-inch steel rod, you can get a little steel cutting blade and it'd be tedious, but it's powerful enough to go through it. You can grind tile if it has to go around like an outlet. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of like, if you're doing like a backsplash project, you have to cut a couple tiles. So rather than get the whole tile saw and those things, it can do a lot. So I'm actually like a pretty big fan. What I do like when it comes to rotary tools is when they have the flexible shaft and then the motor is mounted somewhere else.
Sure.
Because then you can get a lot more control with the hand than if you're holding the heavy motor itself that's spinning.
Yeah, a little more finesse. It's like a tattoo gun now. Have you noticed these days they've got the battery-powered tattoo guns?
Yeah.
And so they're not connected as much with all the magnets and stuff that we're making them super top heavy.
I would put that into C category.
I'm happy with that. Yeah, it wouldn't be crazy high on the list. You know the most recent thing I used a rotary tool for?
What?
A lens with angle grinder spark damage.
Oh.
I got two products. One was something called cutting oil, which is what you would use to polish a
camera
body.
lens.
Mm-hmm. The glass on the camera lens got angle grinder sparks, and it left little like divots in the lens where you couldn't wipe them away, and they show up as just spots in the footage.
Low key, that as like a short or an Instagram reel would do numbers.
So I did one to a lens that not only is messed up on the front, but it doesn't even zoom in or zoom out anymore. It was my tester. And I used this cutting oil, which is just some kind of paste that you put on the end of the rotary tool with a polishing wheel. And you go through, and that does a really fine abrasive scratch across everything to where now the lens is hazy, but you don't see the scratch anymore. And then after that, you come back with a little turtle wax rubbing compound, and it shines it back up, and it's polished.
I need to try that because I got a couple scratches on my Sony camera lens, and that's like a $800 lens.
Exactly.
And there's like it doesn't really impact it too much. They're not big scratches, but it would be nice to get them out.
Right. So I got really good results on my test lens. If you see it on Instagram, that means I got good results on the G Master lens, which is the expensive, almost cinema level.
And that would pay for itself because to send something into Sony to get it fixed, it's like a $600 minimum.
It's really insane. And then every time you want to purchase insurance on any of these products, whenever you finally try to ship them in and get them repaired, it's never worth it.
So I would say too, if you're someone that lives in like a small apartment in a city and you want to get into crafting and stuff, it's pretty fantastic. It's also kind of, I think, underrated for furniture refurbishing work. Right? Because you can really like sand out some cracks and stuff like that.
Totally.
If you were like restoring furniture.
Especially if there's anything with a little molding or some trim, you could get a little detail sander polisher thing. Especially if you're into more Casey Neistat crafting.
Yeah.
Imagine that, you can get an engraver tool. You can like burn things into stuff almost, Really cool. But I'm happy with C tier. I don't want to like muddy up the waters in A and B tier or S tier. Cool. Well, now I'm here with one that is going to be 0 out of 10 to some people, but 10 out of 10 to others. It's a domino joiner.
So I would put like dominoes and biscuit joiners
together.
Kind of together.
We'll talk about them together. But they'll be in different places on the list, I think.
Right. So if you're a furniture builder or woodworker, these things become pretty important. Now, price, I think, is where it all comes down to here.
Okay.
Domino's pretty expensive tool.
So when you're talking DIY category, kind of gets it out because you're going to get so many tools before you get to finally getting a domino.
Right. Biscuit joiner, a little bit more on the affordable side.
You can get them for like $100.
Yeah. So I use a biscuit joiner. I don't use a domino. You can get a doweling jig to use. Again, this is why the drill is S tier. You can get a doweling jig for pretty cheap and put board together with like little dowels and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's a little harder to line up. The biscuit joiner is pretty easy to use. I think it's actually one of the more woodworking friendly DIY tools.
Right. And when you're in the journey of trying new tools, one, it's not so expensive, so that's cool. But it gives you an easy experience. It helps you get a better panel glue up than you normally would. And it helps you feel like you're progressing down that woodworking path.
Right.
If you're just starting as a DIYer.
And if you're just getting started, and let's say you're kind of a Home Depot level woodworker.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get some 3/4 inch oak boards. Occasionally you're using some finished plywood. You got your first home. You want to make, hey, our closet doors look like ass. I want to get some red oak.
Make a sliding barn door or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you might not have really nice clamps for doing your glue ups.
Yeah.
And you're only doing like a 3/4 inch board. That's where cheaper clamps, got to still keep the boards from cupping and stuff like that, but it'll just keep your boards from sliding up and down on each other. And even if they're kind of longer, you can start to use it because the depth set on the biscuit joiner is quite accurate and consistent. You can level out two boards that might have a little curve to them. So
yeah,
I don't think there's so much utility for it.
Right.
But I think at the DIY level is where it kind of, the DIY emerging into woodworking is where it really stands out. But I'd put it as like a C to B minus.
I support C tier. I think that's where it should sit. Yeah.
The domino I think is interesting because you don't have one.
No, I've used one a couple of times. So you're a little familiar. You know how they go. Cool.
And for me, the price, it seems phenomenal. The furniture makers that I know that are way better furniture makers than me swear by them and use them all the time. Get really strong joints, really consistent results.
Strong butt. Nothing you can do with that a doweling jig won't achieve.
Right.
In alignment or additional strength to what you're building.
Right. So not a lot of applications in construction, maybe for some cabinet makers using for some obscure things.
Yep. Because if you're using 1/2-inch dowels and your tabletop like splits that seam or something like that, at that point, there's something wrong with your technique or lumber choice or just the tension in the wood. But you could totally make a sliding barn door tabletop with a doweling jig. So somebody that says, I need the domino, I think they say, I need the time savings.
Exactly. I think the domino is something you get when you're making money doing woodworking.
Yeah. Why?
Because I think there's a return on investment already if you're already selling stuff. If you're making things for yourself, I would put that money for that expensive tool across an array of other cheaper tools.
Yeah, you got a strong point. And there's really no alternative to a domino. So there's kind of a monopoly on that gang, which really, makes the price a little
And if
more.
I was to do anything with Festool, which leads into our category, it would be orbital sander.
Whoa, okay, but wait, domino, where do you put it? C tier?
I would put C.
I would too.
Cost.
Yeah, it's my thought too.
Was it like $700?
Right. So like the DIYer is going to rank it almost 0 out of 10, but then the fine woodworker, they're going to put it 9 or 10 out of 10. So we'll balance it out, put it right in the middle.
C.
Yeah.
C's get degrees. That's what I've heard. I wouldn't know. I never got a C.
I was trying to say, I didn't want to, yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to, so speaking of Festool.
Ooh.
The one Festool that I think is amazing is their whole sanding system.
It's called a Rotex, something like that.
It's great. It's like the whole vacuum thing worked in there. It's phenomenal. Super expensive.
Totally.
Orbital sander for me is A or S tier.
Right, and we're not just talking Festool anymore.
Right.
We're talking
any orbital sander.
Plug-in random orbit sander. Battery-powered random orbit sander?
For your first orbital sander, I would go corded. Because you're in one station for a long time. You can throw a lot of time into this.
And the less proficient you are at woodworking, the more sanding you're going to be ending up doing to kind of fix your flaws.
So the other thing I really like about orbital sander,
so you want to plug it in.
Super inexpensive.
Totally.
And the corded one's often cheaper than the battery one. And you want to save your batteries for your circular saw, your drill, and those kind of things, because batteries really are becoming the expensive component of the system. Orbital sander is an under $100 tool. And here's a little trick to get a little more use out of it. It comes with a relatively firm surface that you put the 5-inch sanding pads on. You can get it's like 1/2-inch thick foam that goes in between. So if you're doing some curved surfaces and stuff like that, or you're working with kind of a more rustic wood with a more 3-dimensional grain, those sanding pads are really clutch. You can get like a 4-pack for like $8 on Amazon. So orbital sander is probably one of the tools that we've had in our hands like the most. So phenomenal, low price, versatile. It's not really meant for sanding drywall, but you can do that.
Totally.
You can do so much. I've sanded stainless steel to get a nice finish on that. I've taken paint off of it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I even remember a desk we made for one of Gary Vee's offices a long time ago. I used that for just stripping all the steel that I made the base from.
Yeah, and I rounded over edges on so many wood projects with it before I had a router. Yeah, it's
S tier. Sorry, I interrupted. Wow,
no,
S tier.
I think so because it's low cost. So, and most importantly, it's one of the first 3 tools that I would recommend getting: drill, circular saw, orbital sander. With those 3 tools, you can make so many different plywood furniture. I think you could pretty much furnish most of your house with those 3 tools.
And it wouldn't even look bad. That was like your loft in Boston.
Yeah, like all the 3 tool projects.
Yeah.
All the radiata pine projects you've done.
Yeah.
You can do most of them with those 3.
I on purpose used a table saw like this much during the projects in my Joshua Tree cabin because I wanted that case study of like, this is everything you can do with a really limited palette. So yeah, big time. I attest to that. The random orbit sander is a big unlock, especially compared to a square sheet sander from back in the day. Think about how much more aggressive 80 grit on a random orbit is compared to the square ones.
Those things are just jittery.
I know.
I feel like they kind of mess things up sometimes too. Yeah. Also, you get that reloading the sandpaper is a pain in the ass.
Trying to get the clinch. Yeah, the Velcro is nice.
All right, we're running through the list.
Okay.
What else you got?
I've got something a little bit understated.
The wild card?
A door planer. So exactly what you think of, your classic hand plane, like a jack plane, except it's powered with a spinning blade. We've all seen them. I think traditionally they're called a door plane just so that if your door kind of slams a little bit, you can shave a little bit off the part where it's catching inside your door frame. And that's pretty much what you would do. A lot of places, this thing is like the belt sander when the belt sander isn't even aggressive enough. Do you use one often?
I have used them. What I don't like about them is the blades, once they get dull, I feel like they're almost worthless. So once you get into the point where you're resharpening blades and replacing components, that means you're probably putting a lot of time into these machines and investing more into them. So I don't love it as a tool because I think if I was going to up my woodworking, I would probably have like a joiner.
Yeah.
And I'd invest a lot into the joiner, and that would be the tool that I replace to flatten out things.
Yeah.
Or a really big thickness planer, or a really nice panel saw.
So the woodworking side of your brain says not really useful. And if you're even a fine woodworker, that's where you start getting into hand planes, not battery powered hand planes. You want that nice.
I would go hand plane and then get belt sander.
Right. A lot of people, that's kind of the old school tool of choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I would find it worthwhile to resharpen the blades on a hand plane. And I think hand planes are beautiful objects. And if you're actually just working with solid woods, it smells great, looks great.
Yeah. Can I do an independent thing where the 3 builder categories, I'm thinking a woodworker puts it at the absolute lowest, is D tier. D tier is the bottom, right?
Yeah. Well, E.
E tier. Okay. E is great because we got to throw something in E tier.
E is the flashlight that comes with the combo kits.
Yeah. So I think a woodworker is going to put a hand plane, like a battery powered hand plane. That's E tier. That's the lowest it goes. A DIYer doing a little woodworking, a little home improvement might give it in between. But the person that is going to ever appreciate it most, I think, is a contractor.
Yeah.
A contractor, that might be something that's no. I use that so
down those
much.
doors,
Yeah, so it's a specialty tool. For us, do we put it in between D and E tier?
Yeah.
We got to put something
D minus.
You know what?
D minus. Let's put an E.
Let's put an E. We got to do it. Sorry for anybody that loves
Because put it this way,
plane.
you would never get it above the belt sander.
You would never get it before a belt sander.
I'm up.
Yeah, it's decided. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is a no-brainer one for me. It's my favorite tool, the angle grinder. S tier all the way. Power carving. So here's why I think the angle grinder is the best tool in the world. Make a strong statement. The angle grinder is the best tool in the world for these reasons. You can be a DIY level maker across every other category of skill set. But if you have decent hand-eye coordination, you can make things that look one-off, right?
Totally.
So if you're a beginner and you try to make a really nice cabinet, man, your door isn't going to hang straight. Your corners aren't going to be perfect 90s. You're immediately going to judge yourself against the perfection of people that have a full wood shop. Mm-hmm. The angle grinder is awesome because it just removes material that your hands tell it to do. There's so many attachments. You can carve rocks, you can cut steel, you can carve wood. And once you start getting into 3 dimensions where you're kind of doodling, you get to decide what the aesthetic is. You're not working with 90 degrees. So it allows someone with a beginner level skill to make things that often really skilled cabinet makers can't make, which is organic shapes.
Yeah.
So it unlocks a whole palette of 3-dimensional design.
Yeah.
It's inexpensive and it's useful in construction.
Big time.
You can cut, if you lose the combination to your padlock, you can cut through it. Doesn't take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
You can strip paint with it with wire brushes.
One of the most affordable tools.
Right. And you can, most importantly, cut rocks with it.
Right. I think a woodworker thinks of it pretty low, but our other 2 categories, a DIYer and a contractor, that's S tier for them. It's S tier, honestly, for me and you. During my terrazzo experiments, if I didn't have an angle grinder, there's really no tool to replace that angle grinder.
And it is the tool for drilling holes through countertop materials. You ever have to do it, you never want to use your drill with a drill bit to drill through. You want to use a core bit. So if you drill, you could like cast a plug into your terrazzo countertop, like a PVC pipe. But what's going to happen is stuff's going to settle around it. So it'll look like when you're like compacting and stuff like that, it'll look like something was cast into it.
Yep.
If you want to look like the hole was cut through, just cast it and you do a core bit. You come in at a little bit of an angle, tilt up, and go through.
With the angle grinder, though.
Angle grinder is the best for drilling holes.
It's nice because it's got that auxiliary
materials.
handle, so you can really control, not have it jerk on you the way you might have the drill kind of catch on you.
Right. And because it works with basically hole saws, diamond hole saws, phenomenal for drilling through stone and stuff.
Boom. Angle grinder S tier. Haters, let us know why it shouldn't be in the comments below.
And just unlimited attachments for it.
Unlimited attachments. You can get these like chainsaws attachment. Have you gotten any of those?
I did. That was the first angle grinder project I did, was with the Lancelot. Now they have, that was before they had the ArborTech things or the Kutzall, the spiny discs. I kind of like the spiny discs. I've used the ArborTech stuff. It's great. I just typically just go off of Amazon with whatever pops up first.
Yeah.
But so many versatile attachments for it, and wire brushing stuff for renovation work and removing really stubborn things stuck to other things. Quite good.
And if we're getting technical, you could even just sand your project with an angle grinder.
And I still think the thing that we've been talking about, which is making like almost like a router sled for it, for planing down something.
Yes.
I mean, a little dicey, but like, I think there's something there.
Especially if you're working with things that you feel a router jig is a little scary for, because an angle grinder, it just is built for scary tasks. What makes it so much more capable than like a trim router in a lot of situations?
Also, where I don't think I've ever seen someone use it for making log cabins.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But for like kind of, if you're in a forest and there's a lot of like fallen trees and you have an abundance of like firewood type logs, you can just turn them all into 3-dimensional things where you could get like a chainsaw and one of those Alaskan lumber mills and start slabbing them up. That's a bit of a commitment for both space and time and those things. But if you can cross-cut with a handsaw and then carve it all into a 3-dimensional object with the angle grinder, you can kind of go low budget but highly expressive work.
And there's one where I say, get your first one, plug it in.
Yeah.
If you have a second angle grinder, which will be common because every once in a while you just want to keep this attachment on this angle grinder and then you got some other kind of disc or wheel on a second one. So get a plug-in one first because you might be using it for a long time.
Angle grinder S tier.
Do we have any else? Honorable mentions.
Okay, so I have an interesting one. Chainsaw. Now, this I think is a regional one. Not as useful out here in the desert.
Right.
Right? I think in the desert, you should be more of a reciprocating saw kind of guy. Because you might get some like old rusty metal things that you could like reclaim into something else, and you can cut metal, you can cut a lot with it. Reciprocating saw is the versatile thing.
Yeah.
If you're living in the Pacific Northwest or in a place with a lot of forests and trees are falling and you got like some property, chainsaws really can save you a lot of money. To like, oh, that limb's gonna hang off over the house in a few years. Let me just trim that right now.
Totally.
Now you can trim tree limbs and prune things with a reciprocating saw. You get the pruning blade for it. Phenomenal.
Totally.
So I would kind of think of those two things. Now I'd say the reciprocating saw, way more versatile than the chainsaw. But I do like the chainsaw for the big wood carving projects, but that's really the only time I use it.
What do you rank chainsaw?
I would put it like C or D.
Bump it into C. I say bump it into C, but now rank a Sawzall.
If I had a lot of trees in my house, I'd probably put it up to B.
Yes.
But
I'm almost
here in the
looking at
desert, I would have it more as like C. And reciprocating saw, I would put at a B, especially the one-handed ones that are really compact.
Yeah.
It's also a tool, if your angle grinder can be a little bit intimidating. Reciprocating saw is a lot less scary, the same way a jigsaw is less scary than a circular saw. Reciprocating saw, you can cut steel pretty aggressively with it too. You get one of those steel demon blades.
Yeah.
And for cutting vegetation, or if you want to make a trail through some nature.
Yeah.
Reciprocating saw, almost like the powered machete.
Powered machete. Yeah, and you can use it to like vibrate your concrete molds and a lot of other stuff too.
I think of it kind of like as the machete, and I think of the chainsaw as like the axe, right?
Big time.
The machete is a little bit more versatile, but not as much high-end power. The axe is very powerful, but how often are you splitting wood or cutting down a tree?
I want to put the chainsaw higher.
Chainsaw,
I want to go to the B tier.
There's no reciprocating saw massacre.
They should be on an even field. I can't imagine a world where the Sawzall is above a chainsaw. But I can see a world where they're pretty equal. Like one person would gravitate to one more than the other.
The chainsaw is a way cooler tool.
Yeah.
But how often have you used one the last year?
Not out here in the desert. In Oklahoma, I had to clean stuff up every fall. And that saves you money. So a chainsaw, it pays for itself.
It's regionally dependent.
Yeah. But I like it. I like it at B.
Okay.
Similar as a Sawzall.
I mean, I just used one on this stump. Some of my best performing projects have all involved the chainsaw, so I'm partial to it. Yeah. But it's, again, if you're in a suburban situation or an apartment, you don't need a chainsaw.
Yeah, but it could really get you out of the box. If you're used to building one way and you think of like, how could I use a project that utilizes a chainsaw?
But if you're in Alaska, it's like A or S tier. It's like one of the first tools you get after the drill.
That's
maybe even before it.
Yeah. But I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
B tier. Now, I think the last one I want to hit, multi-tool starter packs. I'm talking like the 4-piece combo or the 5-piece combo that you get at Lowe's or Home Depot. Should people get those?
Yeah.
You should go a la carte, one at a time?
Look, sometimes there's Ryobi Days is coming up, and there's some great deals on them. And you can get the kit, and then you can get a tool that you pick. The kits are fine, but I feel like there's a bit of fluff sometimes in there. They give you a flashlight that maybe you need. I think they're great, like, I recommend them as like a housewarming gift if like parents are giving like their kids that bought a home for the first time.
And they know that they don't have those tools.
Right, and they're not really familiar with it. Just gets them all set up, gets them on one battery system, and the prices are pretty good on those. I tend to like to pick and choose, but also we're biased. We do this a lot.
Yeah.
So I would always say rather than getting the multi-tool kit, and some people already have a drill.
Yep.
I would get the drill, circular saw, an orbital sander, and then depending on what you're going to focus on, pick the sort of next tool from there.
I think that's a good move. I would say a starter pack without brushless tools in 2016 is E tier.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a circular saw you hate, then you're going to get a drill that you end up burning out or something like that.
Right.
We've all been there, I think. No brand involved here. Because the goal is to get that value-oriented tool. So you're going to get the bottom of the line offered by each of the brand. And so I say, instead of getting an extra flashlight or getting a little extra thing here or there, focus on the tools that you're going to use a lot and just get a really good brushless version. Plug in or not, just get the best high-quality circular saw, if that's what you're getting. Get the best high-quality impact driver.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, things like orbital sander, you don't necessarily have to go as high end.
Totally.
Orbital sander, you can get kind of the lowest cost version, the corded version, and then you're not on a battery system where you have to sort of upgrade. So
Yeah.
I really would push the budget towards circular saw and drill, get the extended batteries, and probably all of your decisions, cost and budget wise, are going to come down to, do I need more batteries versus more tools? Because the batteries are really the expensive part of the tools these days.
Right. And I know that you can really get a good deal packaging everything together. I think it's just so rare that someone that's building stuff is in the situation where that's exactly what they would have gotten if they one off it, everything. So yeah, you're saving money, but are you saving money if you're just getting stuff you're not really using or appreciating? So unless the commenters down below know of the ultimate starter tool pack, the multi-tool bundle, leave a comment. Like, what is the ultimate multi-tool bundle? Otherwise, I want to put it in D category.
Yeah.
I want to put it low. Just go a la carte.
Yeah, go a la carte. So I got one.
Okay.
Nail guns. Now, this could be a framing nailer. This could be a brad nailer. It could be an 18 gauge or somewhere in between. Do you use nail guns that often?
Quite a bit. And I used to not use them as often because you needed to hook them up to an air compressor and everything else. But for the past while, battery-powered handheld nail guns, everything in one unit. They've got them for framing. They've got them brad nails, finish nails, whatever you need, they got it.
Yeah.
And they're handy.
If you're coming from more of a design background where you really want to pick your sort of custom colors and the trims and all of those things, a brad nailer or a finish nailer is amazing because you can get a lot of MDF trim, you can get some poplar trim, you could reframe out some cabinets that look a little bit unfinished. You could really add a lot of improvement just by adding detailed layers of the moldings and stuff like that.
Would you get a finish nailer or would you get a brad nailer first? Like 16 gauge or 18 gauge?
Finish nailer.
Really? I would get the brad nailer first. I would go with the thinner, smaller 18 gauge nail holes because I think in my life, even though you're technically not supposed to put baseboard trim up with brad nails, as long as they're the right length, totally works. But you have a smaller nail hole and that opens the door into a little bit more woodworking, not just renovating, construction, home improvement. If you want to make a face frame with a brad nailer, I'm comfortable putting that onto a box and then putting a little bit of putty. But once you start getting a big nail head, you start wanting to hide it.
I think with the finish nailer, I'm probably installing more poplar or trim that's going to be painted rather than sort of wood finish. Now, I think you probably, like, I wouldn't use the finish nailer for doing some like edge banding on or like, quarter-inch little strip of something here or there.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it probably depends on use case, but I don't use nail guns that often. I almost never use a framing nailer because I'm almost like I'm never framing up so much stuff that where impact driver, and this is where I would put the impact driver above
it makes
the
sense.
nail gun.
If you're just doing a little pop-up wall or a little, shimmy thing here or there.
Now, if you're going to be siding your house or doing some nail guns, especially at the framing nail, and even the finished ones, those are construction tools more than they are DIY and definitely more than I would say woodworking, unless you're a production woodworking shop. But most of the fine woodworkers I know aren't using a ton of finished nails.
Right.
Unless it's like case goods where they just need to hold something up while they wait for the glue to dry. But even then, it's probably brad nailer.
I would almost put this in the middle of B tier. Yeah. There's probably some things in the B tier lower. I have to see it to know. But if you're a construction worker, you want a finish nailer. If you're a woodworker, you want a brad nailer. And if you're a DIYer, heck, you might even want a pin nailer or a stapler in the same style for upholstery or something.
If you're a
like
framer, it's your number one tool. You're not using a drill for anything. Like,
so for the across categories, I think it's a solid B.
Yeah.
Solid B. Because you can always screw a couple things together if you have to. So it doesn't have, outside of framing a house, there's very few tasks that you couldn't just put in a nail with a hammer, or you couldn't screw a couple boards together.
So I think, I got 2 more.
Okay.
You got any more?
I'll leave it right there.
I got 2 more.
Okay.
Glue gun.
Okay. Yeah.
So lowest cost tool.
Right.
You can get a quartered one for probably like $12, or it used to be like under $10 for a quartered one. You can get a decent battery one for like the $25 to $45 range.
Yep.
It's one of the tools I use a lot. You can do a lot with it. Definitely more of a DIY tool, but a lot of woodworkers I know use it for various applications around the shop.
Toss a template down, and if you don't want to use the double-sided tape method.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those like accessories that doesn't take up a lot of room, a lot of versatility. You can get a little arts and craftsy with it. So I like it. I put it as like a B.
I'll put it there too. Yeah,
I
support
low
that.
cost. Shop vac. Do you use the shop vac much?
Not often.
Probably not as much as we should.
No, I think we should both really do dust collection better.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think that's going to be a 2027 resolution.
Yeah.
Is set up dust collection in the shop. I still don't have the shop fully set up, but I need dust collection that's not a leaf blower.
Well, a lot of times I'll get like a big fan and, have that blowing the stuff out. That counts, right?
Yeah. Also, it's like, here's the thing. Because I went really expensive with the PPE, with the VersaFlow.
Yeah.
Because I have like the full helmet respirator. I think that's why I haven't invested in dust collection. I have dust collection around my face.
Yeah, you've got that like space helmet looking thing that has an air breather as a backpack,
Dust
right?
collection for your face.
But it's powered. It like sucks air in through a backpack.
It's forced air.
Yeah.
That thing.
Prometheus.
Yeah. That thing, if it wasn't so expensive, it would be S tier. Because it's so expensive, I got to give it like A- or a B. But in terms of like quality of life upgrade for especially all the power carving stuff I'm doing and the rock work, phenomenal.
Well, I think there's a few tasks that a shop vac can do when you're home renovating that a broom can't.
Right.
So it's one of those big convenience things, but low on the necessity scale. And then once you get into woodworking, what's the deal with needing a dust separator in between a shop vac? Because you get that static buildup.
Like that mullet thing?
Yeah.
That extends the life of your filters, right?
Okay.
So shop vacs lose a lot of suction when the filter gets clogged. And then I'm taking out. So here's why the leaf blower is above the shop vac for me. You know what I clean out the shop vac filters with to get more life out of? A leaf blower. The leaf blower extend, and shop vac filters add up. They get expensive.
Yeah.
And they get clogged up fast.
Right. And I don't know what it is really. You ever notice you get a little static electricity feel when your random orbit sander is attached to a shop vac, but if it's attached to like a HEPA filter dust extraction thing, you don't get that.
So
which makes me just not want to use it. I don't want to get these like little baby shocky feelings while I'm sanding a project for a long time. So what I tend to do is just make a mess and then leaf blow the shop out whenever I'm done sanding. So
the shop vac's theoretically great. If you're working in a city or in an indoor environment, they're an absolute necessity. If you're in a suburban or rural thing, it probably depends on how much work you do in your garage. It's more of a garage cleanup tool. I use a shop vac as the vacuum for my house, so I get some double usage. I got kind of a mini shop vac. So I like them. The mullet thing is really interesting, and it definitely extends the life out of your filters, and you get better, more consistent performance when you have that separate chamber.
Yep.
Here's the problem. It takes up a lot of room, and you're always working around it.
Yeah.
And when you're hooking your sander up to it, that big hose is always getting in the way, and you're repositioning, and then you're just like, F it, like pull the hose off and just go crazy to finish up. So they're bulky, and they take up a lot of space, but they are good for staying tidy.
C tier, like low C tier?
C.
Yeah. Yes?
Yeah.
No, it's C.
C.
Bueno.
I think that's it. This was our first kind of tool ranking. We may revisit this in the future, but
Yeah.
I think this was really fun.
There's power ranking power tools. This also might be the power tools tier list. We don't know, but you let us know where you think we got it right and where you think we got it wrong.
Right. Because we're not experts. We're just people that use a lot of these tools.
Yeah.
And in the future, I think we do need to do a video on if we were starting over, what's like, I think we got to do like, if we had $1,000 to get started, how do we spend it on tools? And we actually have to come up with like a shopping list.
I like it. It's like a school experiment or
Yeah.
a school assignment.
Right.
I love
Or
it.
like, what can you do with like the $300 shop versus the $500 shop versus like the $1,000 shop?
Whoa, yeah. $1,000 shop versus $10,000 shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what would you buy? What would you build? Yeah, because if I'm spending a ton of money, I'm getting stationary tools. But if I'm spending a little bit of money, I'm getting the tools that I'm taking to my projects more often. So that could be fun to talk about. Yeah.
Like it. All right. Oh, obsessions.
Ha!
I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a couple obsessions.
Okay.
One is a tool that we left off. So the battery-powered device that we use the most is the phone.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We all have more screen time than we do tool time.
And it's running 24/7.
Yep. So some of the tool brands, shout out to Ryobi for doing this, and I think a few others do it now too, but I think they were the first. They make a little adapter that goes over your 18-volt batteries, and you can charge your phone and plug a little outlet into it.
Yep.
Super useful accessory. One of the most useful accessories. I mean, they do a lot of speakers and flashlights, but the phone has speakers and a flashlight. You know what you need? A place to repower the phone.
Yeah, and what I like about the ones that have a small plug on them, not just the two USBs, is now you're taking that out camping with you. You're doing a little bit more. And when you're buying those solar or battery-powered portable generator power pack things, the thing that determines how much money you spend is how much battery power it has. But if you have a shop full of batteries, all you need to do is spend like $60 on this attachment, but you've got this battery bank already in your workshop that you can take with you. So if you need to run some string lights, if you need to run a little kind of powered cooler, or just keep your laptop charged, you've got an AC outlet. Even though it's not a ton of watts, you can still get a lot done. And now they make those crazy ones where you can put the 40 volt or 18 volt multiple batteries into it. So it is kind of comparable to the Goal Zero or the Blue Yeti kind of power bank things.
The power bank things have come along a lot.
Yeah.
And I used to use Goal Zero a lot. I've used a few of the other different brands. They're really handy, especially for camping or remote construction sites, off-grid projects.
Yep. I run my entire workshop off of a Goal Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. You can charge them with solar. I think I got like a new home backup company that I'm going to be working with soon. I also use, Ryobi makes one where you can plug in a whole bunch of your 40 volt batteries or a whole bunch of your 18 volts, charge it with solar, but then you can have AC outlets off of it.
Yeah, that's
so
really
you can
cool.
use your tools when you can charge all your batteries with solar and then use the collection of all your batteries to actually power something more substantial.
It's a generator on a work site. It's a van life solution if you're doing the off-grid kind of thing. It's a really neat accessory. Yeah. We're not even putting it on the tier list, though, because it's just
too random.
It's too random.
What do you got?
I am obsessed with an upcoming album release.
Drake's?
Heck no, man. I'm sorry. That's so 2000 and late.
No one cares.
I don't think so. No. The band Citizen. They're signed to Run for Cover Records. So if you're a fan of Balance and Composure or Basement, who I mentioned before, check out Citizen. They've released a few singles, and all of them are bangers. They're one of these bands that have started out with a really cool, slightly aggressive kind of rock sound, but as this whole Urban Outfitters kind of dream pop wave has kind of come, they've dipped their toe into it. But I think they're kind of coming out of that swimming pool of poppy stuff and getting into a little bit more aggressive fusion, kind of what they were known for. It would be like Nirvana kind of going back if they started making softer stuff.
It's so funny that you were saying that it's like a newer band. It reminds you of sort of Nirvana. Because I was like thinking about this where like every like 10, 15 years, we just have a repeat of like another band. And it's not exactly the same, and it's not that they sound so much alike, but they fit the same place in culture.
Yes.
And like in a weird way, I've always thought Linkin Park doesn't sound like Blink-182, but it's like the same kind of people that liked Linkin Park were the same kind of people that in a previous generation liked Blink 182. And I just heard this song. Do you know Oliver Tree?
Yeah, he's fun. He's got some.
He
fun
reminds me
music
of Blink 182 a lot.
videos. Yeah,
Right? Like both like this sort of irreverent part where he's like kind of like, and even like kind of like chorusy, like fun, like sing along, a little bit rebellious, but
Yeah.
just kind of funny. I was like, oh, this is just like Blink 182 for this group.
Yeah, that guy Oliver Tree. If you haven't watched his music
He's funny.
videos, they're very creative and funny. Like they're actual, really silly music videos.
He goes for it. I like that.
Yeah, I remember one time in a way, like Lil Dicky kind of made a fun music video to kind of get popped off. I forget what he did, but that guy Oliver Tree, he's just like, I'm taking all my advance and I'm just making outrageous, like way more budget than I should have music videos. And it worked for him. It really worked for him. So check him out. Check out Baseman. Check out Citizen. Look at Run for Cover Records. They're on a whole revival right now.
All right, let's do it. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Boom.
I did the bye like you used to do. Bye. That's funny.
Bye.